Namaste, angels. This is going to be my Virgo full moon and Mercury direct in the sign of Aquarius reading. So tomorrow, March 9th, two really awesome things happen. We have a super moon in the sign of Virgo, and we have Mercury, which is the ruler of the sign of Virgo, as well as the sign of Gemini, which has for the most part been located in the sign of Pisces, but has moved into Aquarius as of last week. In retrograde, we have it going direct finally. So it's been, again, retrograde for about 4 weeks. And tomorrow, finally, we all get some relief, particularly those signs, Virgo, Gemini, Pisces. Those have been the most impacted. So those can make the deepest sigh of relief. So I'm going to do a reading on that. I always like to start my full moon readings with the Farmer's Almanac. As sort of, I guess, in honor of Benjamin Banneker, the black man who created it. So I'm going to go to that, www.almanac.com, and read about the full moon for March 2020. It is the full worm moon, and it will be a super moon. It's called the full worm moon. It reaches peak fullness at 1:48 p.m., which equals 13:04 or 11:11, by the way, Eastern Daylight Time on Monday, March 9th. Look for the spectacularly bright moon as it rises above the horizon that evening or the night prior. So from tonight, the 8th, when I'm planned to post this reading, you probably already be able to see the moon. This full moon traditionally goes by the name of the worm moon, which refers to the fact that earthworms and grubs tend to emerge from their winter dormancy at the time of this year, marking a sure sign of spring. And you can read more about all those things on this page. If you want, I'm going to skip to super worm moon, the first super moon of the year. The full moon will also be the first of 3 super moons in 2020. The other 2 occur on April 7th and May 7th. Thanks to its supermoon status, this year's worm moon has been named the super worm moon. Let's just hope that the worms don't take that to heart. Supermoon is the popular nickname given to full moons that coincide with perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit of Earth where it's closest to our planet. While at perigee, the full moon appears a bit brighter and about 7% larger than a typical full moon. However, don't go out on the night of March 9th expecting to see a moon that's noticeably more massive. Unless you are to see them side by side, the differences between a supermoon and a regular full moon can be very difficult to perceive. March full moon names. Owl of the Hollow Tree. Speaking mysteriously, when the moon's phantom light makes my dim chamber bright. That was a little poem by Dorothea Maria Ogilvie, a Scottish poet who lived from 1823 to 1895. Historically, full moon names were used to track the seasons, and for this reason, they often relate closely to nature. The moon names that we see today stem from Native American and colonial era sources. Traditionally, each full moon name was applied to the entire lunar month in which it occurred, rather than just the moon itself. The most common name for March's full moon is the full worm moon. At this time of year, the ground begins to soften enough for earthworms to cast and to reappear, inviting robins and other birds to feed, a true sign of spring. Roots start to push their way up through the soil, and the earth experiences a rebirth as it awakens from its winter slumber. There are many alternative names for the March moon. One such name was the full sap moon, and this is the time of year when the sap of sugar maples starts to flow. Other names included the crow moon and the Linton moon. An alternative name for March's full moon is the full sap moon. Sugar maple trees are tapped in late winter. Sap buckets gather the sap, which is later turned into maple syrup. They have a full video that people can watch if they're interested here for that. And then they go on to tell us that if we're interested in planting crops, above ground ones should be planted March 4th, 5th, and 31st. Below ground crops, the 21st through the 23rd. For setting eggs, the 10th through the 12th. For fishing, the 1st through the 9th, and then the 24th through the 31st, rather. Those are the best days according to this. So now we'll get into the reading. think I'm going to start from here because I got to explain something to you guys too, from the weird way that my mind works and then my gifts work. This is Major Arcana card 14, Temperance, represents the sign of Sagittarius. Those of you who saw the love reading, and those of you who didn't see it, please do check it out. In the second spread, there's 2 cards that are attributed to the masculine. The first is his choice. Well, the whole spread is from the perspective of the masculine. And the first card is the 5 of Wands. And it is a card, or the card, that the masculine higher self, collective masculine higher self, selects as a representation of the masculine's feelings right now with regard to union and or connection. And I attributed to that 5 of Wands to fear, right? The masculine being fearful of the future, of success, of failure, abandonment, resentment, regret, like all these different possibilities, especially those who have been in separation, some for during Mercury retrograde, some for much longer, and trying to figure out how to come back, right? How to return. So they're afraid. And others who have been around, but they want to progress, right? The relationship has been stop and go, or there hasn't been much movement. And the Chariot was one of those cards that showed up too. And so they want to progress, and how to do that. So I said this represented the fear. It also was about differences that some people could, come to get over, basically. So it could be about actual conflict. It sat underneath the 5 of Wands, this Temperance card. Not this Temperance card, but Temperance landed underneath the 5 of Wands. So since they both represent fire, and this more specifically represents the sign of Sagittarius, to me, in a sense, they're both 2 5s of Wands, and one was sitting atop the other. And it was like that Temperance card was talking also about those relationships where there have been conflict and disagreement and maybe arguments and falling out and all that kind of stuff. We could fix that. We could fix that 5 of Wands with the energy of Temperance, because Temperance is about recovery and, making things whole again and well again, and restoration, sometimes actual rest and healing. It is about, negotiation and working things out, collaboration and all that. So that could be one reason that the Temperance is showing up underneath the 5 of Wands. The other thing is that where there were like stark more physical differences between the masculine and feminine, like, the woman makes more money, for example, or, she's older. These things that tend to be like taboo in society that maybe had affected the divine masculine before, him being able to get over now and work out, and then therefore in some cases wanting to return, like, I don't care about that anymore, I love her, whatever, so I'm going to go back. All right, so getting to the weird way my mind works. So that was my reading yesterday. Today, after shuffling the cards and just now preparing to do this reading, ending up with Temperance here upright, I thought about the 14. It's right, Major Arcana card 14, and then combined with the fact that tomorrow we're going to experience the full worm moon, I was reminded about a piece of scripture, Isaiah 41:14. And so I brought that up too, because I wanted to include 13. I think this is about the masculine. Hang on. Isaiah 41:13 through 14. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear. I will help you. Don't be afraid, you worm, Jacob. Little Israel, do not fear, for I myself will help you, declares the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. So, like I said, I connected that. Once I thought about the Isaiah 41:14, and then I reminded myself of it, like I looked it up, and it was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. The fear, the universe is saying it's going to take the masculine by the hand, or even take the feminine by the hand, take us by the hand, those of us who are afraid, and strengthen us. And Major Arcana card Strength was another card that showed up in the reading. So I just wanted to point all that out. And now to more specifically about Temperance itself, I'll add that it's largely a card of relationships. Those can be friendships, familiar relationships, romantic relationships, the need for balance in those relationships, the need to give our attention to all of our partnerships, in a healthy way. Also about where we did have some sort of discord, again, falling out or something like that. Or we're trying to approach some other sort of situation in our lives and or in our partnerships, we may have to attack them from many different angles, try different methods of trial and error, mixing and matching until we find out something that works. So masculine, if you try one time to make a comeback and it's not successful that one time, that doesn't mean give up and, walk away. You may have to come at it in a different way, from a different position. Other than that, things tend to be going well in your life when temperance shows up. Again, it is a card of restoration, so it could be going well in your life now, maybe after a time when things weren't so good, and now you're being, restored, and what was lost from you or taken from you, being given back to you by the universe, and the scales being balanced out, you being made whole. A Sagittarius may be particularly significant. The planet Jupiter may be particularly significant. The planet and god of karma and growth and expansion. This is a period of movement and expansion. At work, you should, give it your all, aim high, be confident with this sort of energy surrounding you. In love, it's a positive card in love too. However, one of the messages, which is again takes us back to the love reading, one of the messages with temperance can be in order for you to have the type of love relationships that you want to have with other people, we need to first have it and be at peace and feel whole, in ourselves. That came up too, the need for introspection for some of us, and to spend some time alone. Not in a sad sense. It was the nine of Pentacles came out twice. So it's spend some time with yourself, nurturing yourself, getting to know, and love yourself, and then that's going to help you in your relationships. In terms of finances, there's likely to be a very good balance in your finances. What's going out, what's coming in. If you do feel that you need to and I guess we always feel like we need to increase, right? We're never happy with the amount that we're getting. You're going to have to ask for what you deserve. Because temperance can also be you at work, you've been doing a lot of work for which you haven't been recognized. That's possible. And so you're going to have to ask for that raise or promotion, or, maybe look elsewhere. And I'm saying up and quit your job, but maybe look elsewhere for something new. This is also a really, really spiritual card, and that was an intense energy that came up in the love reading as well, in addition to the general reading. And if you see that one, that was basically a love reading too. Almost every single card was of the element of cups or water. So I think you should see all three of them, not just because I did them and I'd like you to see all three of them, but because I really think they tell a story together. And especially those of you who are really looking for guidance and maybe are in separation or are unsure as to what's been going on in your relationship, even if you're not in separation, or if you're single and you haven't been able to find somebody, I think that you'll get answers from each of my readings, and then together as a whole, just a full picture. This is a really, really important and great time to meditate. Definitely listen to your inner guidance, your inner voice, with temperance having shown up here. Pay attention to your intuition. That's another energy and message that came up really, really strong in both of my other readings. Moving on to the butterfly deck, which I like to use. I often like to use for my full moon readings. We're beginning with the energy of leaving. And this too came up. There was leaving, there was moving, there was cohabitation, all kinds of things I picked up in both readings that this can be representing. This can also be leaving, again, pain and negative emotions, regret, resentment, guilt, blame, the inability to forgive, leaving all that kind of bullshit in the past and moving on, right? Moving on. Also, a lot of heavenly signs coming through. Very, very important to pay attention to your intuition, your gut. What is it telling you to do? Don't ignore it. Okay. Actually, speaking of ignoring it, sometimes with temperance, somebody can be giving you advice, particularly with your finances, and it's good advice and you're not listening. So for some of you, if you've been getting advice and haven't really been following it, and then you're saying, well, nothing's changing. The reason nothing's changing is because you haven't followed the advice. So if that applies to you, that message is for you. From the surrender deck, beginning with an overall energy of surrender to your soul's path. And look at all this earth in the card. This is really, really Virgo or other earth signs, right? Capricorn, Taurus. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. So I just talked about the importance of Jupiter, growth, expansion. Embrace every lesson and moment. Of course, earth, very, very prevalent in all of the readings as well. As well as this thing about, I talked about people trying to figure out their soul's path and purpose, and as a couple or as a single, what they're meant to do on this earth, and how to get there. Once they know what it is, how to begin to walk the path. Talked about that in, I think, both readings as well. Also upright behind this one. Surrender your fear of intimacy. You're ready to let love in, compassionately identify, and begin to release any patterns that stop you from opening your heart. That was a message to the feminine. In one spread, the Knight of Cups showed up for her. There's a need to be open to your heart and to open to love. In another spread, the King of Cups showed up for her. So of course that too means that. And we had an overall energy of the Six of Pentacles, which is about the ability to both give and receive love, and to allow it to pass both ways so it can be healthy. And it's funny because I had talked about that sort of energy, and then the card showed up, like as confirmation. Surrender to the magic of who you are. We all have magic in us, even in the most mundane aspects of life. Remember that you're a magical being with a uniqueness and worth that comes from just being you. A lot of these are upright. Surrender to receiving support and love. This is what I was just talking about, giving and receiving love. All the love and support of others. Allow the love and support of others in, rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. And finally, lastly, surrender procrastination. Now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. This too came up in the form of the Seven of Cups for the masculine. And lastly, this is interesting. For the Animal and Angel Tarot, Major Arcana card 7, the Chariot, which is all about movement, moving, travel, literal and metaphoric. So it could definitely be connected to this leaving card. Also, the stop and go in relationships. Like we were moving forward, we were progressing, and now all of a sudden, we got stopped. So I talked yesterday about things picking up again now. An important achievement, self-discipline and willpower. Public recognition. This is a major card of victory as well. Now, I just said, oh, okay, I see. Because I was just talking about moving on from pain. The card immediately behind it, also upright, is indeed the Three of Air or Swords. Great sadness. Take time to heal. There's a need to forgive yourself and others. The energy of forgiveness, very, very important right now. And actually, there is a feast largely about forgiveness, a Hebrew or Jewish feast that I talk about in the general reading that also falls on this same day, the 9th and 10th of March. And that is the Fast of Esther and Purim. So very important time for forgiveness. All right. So I feel like that was like a reading already, but I'm going to do more. I'm going to do a card for each element from here. In the interest of time, I'm not going to shuffle these. I have gotten back into shuffling and cutting and everything live though, because you guys might not even care. I don't know if you do or not. Nobody really comments much about it. But, well, somebody did last week, actually. It pisses me off, or it irritates me when the occasions that I see another reader or astrologer or something, and they're like, talking, pointing at a board, or they're not even in the picture, and no cards are in the picture. There's just like a board and writing on the screen, like they're a substitute teacher or something. or there's somebody sitting at a desk and their hands are under the table and they're pulling cards out. This is your card, and you can't really see it. And then they're like, to me, very clearly, like reading from a script. Like they don't really know what the cards mean. They're not really necessarily intuitive and all that. So it irritates me. So I don't want to do it to do that to you guys. So I do like to shuffle, but again, I also at the same time have been trying to save time. So just to give you an explanation of that. So the first card will be for the element of earth, whatever it is, and then fire, and then air, and then water. Oh, okay, perfect. Speaking of the element of earth, your card, this is really awesome for you guys. Nice. And it goes along with the readings that I did for the earth signs recently. There was a lot of abundance in those readings. So if you are an earth sign and you haven't seen my astrological readings for the earth signs, do check those out as well. Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus all posted. This card, Major Arcana card 3, the Empress, does represent the planet Venus, which is a ruler of the sign of Taurus, in addition to Libra and Gemini. This is a card of abundance. It's a card of very, very strong feminine energy. The Empress is like nobody else in the deck, right? She has her own way about doing things. There are 4 queens in the deck. There's only one Empress, similar to the High Priestess. So she, sort of like doesn't necessarily play by the rules. She's mysterious. You can't figure her out. You're just intrigued by her. You're drawn in by her mystery and her sexiness, her femininity. She's all about abundance. 3s themselves are about abundance and creativity and abundance that comes about through our creativity. So, those of you who are some sort of artists, whether visual or musically or digital or I don't know, there's all kinds of things. Whatever your creative outlet is, this can be an awesome time for you to, make some money or friends or, some sort of abundance, whatever you would consider to be, riches coming to you. Riches don't always come in the form of money. Also, speaking of that, of riches not coming in the form of money, some of us would like to have a bundle. Maybe we've been struggling with a bundle of joy. When the Empress shows up, very, very good time if you've been wanting to get pregnant to work on it. Very, very fertile. Some people may be finding or learning during this period of the full moon, that this reading covers the 9th through the 24th, that they are pregnant already, which is, awesome for those who've been trying. And for those who are not trying, you may want to, protect yourself somehow if you are an earth sign with this card having shown up. What else do I want to say about the Empress? Also, if you've been maybe leaning more so, going back to temperance and balance, maybe you've been leaning more so on your inner masculine, and this is guiding you to draw more on your feminine, to soften it up a bit, maybe in your relationships and how you go about approaching things and dealing with other people. Soften it up a bit. You were coming across a little hard maybe, and you're going to get more results that way. If I think of anything else, I will share it. Oh, okay. Fire signs. This is interesting. Your card is the 7 of Swords. And basically the 7 of Swords is a card that says you don't want to try to be slick right now. Like you definitely don't want to be a manipulator, a liar, come across distrustful. You want to do things the right way, like whatever that means. I always say whatever that means because, people have, different opinions as to what's right and wrong. But it's kind of like this sort of like like crime doesn't pay kind of energy. So don't try to go like through the back door, the side door, go through the front. And you should be confident enough to go through the front anyway, because the energy surrounding you is a positive one. So if anybody's distrustful, it's like you being distrustful of yourself and lacking confidence where you should not. So go ahead and power through. Also, in terms of finances, like I was saying about temperance, similarly, this card can be about like advice that you've been getting and you just haven't been following it either. So I think that's definitely a strong message for fire signs who have some sort of financial issue going on. In terms of love, it's possible that you are sort of not excited about love right now, like, or dissatisfied in a relationship that you do have. If you are in a committed relationship and you're feeling like that, you know, it's a time again to go into yourself, or to ask yourself, like, you know, maybe why, like, with what am I unhappy or dissatisfied, and see if there's something that you need to fix about you. Again, also similar to the Temperance card. And then all the nines of pentacles that showed up in the other readings. I guess that's it. Again, if I think of anything else for you, I'm feeling something about travel. And we do have this chariot here, but I don't really have a complete message. Actually, I don't really think it's travel. I think they're saying, like, it's not a good time to try to get away with something, you know? So it's not real movement. It's get away, like that lingo of don't try to be slick right now. It's not a good time. Come at everything, you know, from the front way. Air signs. Very nice. Gemini, this is our card. This major arcana card 1, the Magician, represents the planet Mercury, our ruler, as Geminis. But this card here is also for those who are Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and Aquarius as well, where Mercury will be has moved and will be going direct tomorrow. All right, so the Magician, it's funny that it's crossing this 7 of Swords, and I'm talking about, like, not trying to be slick, because sometimes the Magician can be about, like, wearing a mask and, you know, sleight of hand, being a manipulator, being able to, you know, get things to work to your advantage, or to appear a way that they aren't really. But that's like the negative aspects of the Magician. More positively, the Magician shows up to say that we have the ability, the power, again, to bring about any abundance in our lives that we are seeking. We can create it. So it's very hand in hand with this earth sign energy too. That makes sense because, again, Venus is the esoteric ruler of the sign of Gemini. So you know, we could very well be getting a lot of this same energy that the earth signs are getting. Also, basically improvement in every area of your life, your relationships. I know people tend to be interested in that. Romantic situations or whatever. If you're single, very, very good time to meet somebody, as is the case again with the Empress. The Empress, I don't think I mentioned it, just really, really being super attractive in every aspect of your life. So in terms of like work, even, you could be getting calls, or people could be, I'm really happy with your work. You know, people are expressing that they're proud of you, or that you have something to be proud of. You're just attractive in every area. You could be getting calls and saying, you know, we're interested in you doing this or doing that for us, different offers and things, but also in a physical sense, in terms of sexuality and physical attraction, very, very attractive right now too. So I think that, again, that it's going to be extending to the air signs here as well. And the major arcana cards, when they show up to me, they have this like energy that is like, these cards, the minor are kind of avoidable, but this is like, this energy is coming in. So it's like, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Because it's coming regardless. So we're in control of our actions and our reactions. And so we can take advantage of it, or we can waste, you know, the chance to manifest our desires and our abundance to like our fullest potential. And this is another card that with regard to work says, like, if you don't ask, you don't get, you know, they're not going to necessarily, they may know that you deserve a raise, but not necessarily offer it to you unless you ask, or you put it out there, or you apply for a position they have open, or you know, you're seeking a promotion or some sort of bonus or whatever. You're doing what you have to do. Unless you put it out there and request what you're worth, it's not likely that you're going to receive it, but you have the ability to right now request what you're worth and get it with the Magician. In terms of, if you're single, you're looking for somebody, very, very good time to meet somebody. Those who are committed, deepening of relationships happening, maybe deciding to start families, all of that possible. And we could have several different choices or options. And again, it's about being straightforward with those people that we're dealing with, and not trying to manipulate anybody or pull the wool over anybody's eyes, or lie about even our own feelings or whatever, our own position, you know. It's an important time to like keep it real. And water signs. You got a major arcana card too. Major arcana card 21, the World. This is interesting also, that this is a 3 and this is a 3 and it's crossing. So there could be something that had been going on with some sort of party of 3, maybe even a love triangle that is coming to an end. The World tends to be about completion and about you successfully having, you know, made it through something victorious. That something could have been a painful situation, or maybe a need to decide between, you know, 3 or more different possible options that were all tugging at your heartstrings, and it was hard to decide, but you were successful finally in picking one. It can be the end of maybe a time where you were needing like surgery and something like that was going on, a health situation, finally recovering from that, moving on from that. Also, the World for me has a fire feel. It feels like fire. I haven't attributed it to any one sign or the other. So Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, Mars, Jupiter. It could be about all of those. And sitting here underneath the position with the fire signs, for some of you, it has to do with your relationships. And again, maybe some distrust that you had felt in the relationship or that had been felt about you that maybe caused a falling out. And then this is an opportune time for recovery in that area, or for you to fix that, or for you to move on from that relationship and leave it behind. Leaving again behind also, you know, the pain of it, having grown and completed that karmic lesson and whatever was attached to it. Also, the World for me is about like endings, things that remember I said we have the ability to, we're in control of our actions and our reactions. We have free will. So for me, when the World shows up, it's because we had a free will choice at some point to leave a situation, a job, a living condition, a relationship, whatever, some sort of situation, and we chose not to. Like maybe we chose the easy way out at that time, and we didn't, you know, just face it like, okay, I have to look for a new man, and even though this one's paying my bills, our relationship is toxic, I got to get out. I have to look for a new job. You know, this one is not paying me what I deserve. They're not treating me fairly. And then you don't, you know, and you stick around and you continue to take, you know, far less than your worth and stuff like that. This is the universe. When the World shows up, it's the universe now saying, okay, you had your chance to use your free will choice to answer that, or, you know, to decide what to do in the situation. Now I'm stepping in to ease you out of that situation. So, you know, maybe I'm going to take your job. Am I going to take your relationship? I'm going to cause something to, you know, to break it up, or I'm going to cause you to come apart and to have to work on yourselves and then come back together, you know, once you've healed some areas, different things like that. So that's what the World is for me. And it can require patience. It's like, you know, similar to the Tower, except for the Tower is abrupt and the World sometimes takes some time. So, like, for example, where there is a breakup, you know, it might not be the next day that you meet somebody who is, you know, amazing and your soulmate and that you can go off into the sunset with. But the universe has that in mind for you when that card shows up. All right. I'll put these at the front just in case we decide to pull any others. And now let's look at some butterflies quickly. What did I do here? Oh, okay. I put the leaving card on top of the surrender deck, so I was confused. All right, so divine being or couple. Sentimental feelings. Again, we're going to have like gut feelings and intuitive feelings about different things, and signs, synchronicities. Definitely pay attention to your feelings, whatever types they are, and, you know, flow through them and take action in their regard if that's what's called for, all of that. Recent past, realizations and epiphanies that could have led us again to some sort of action, steps that we came into some sort of clarity or some sort of realization. So we had some sort of epiphany, and then that may be what's resulting in the sentimental feelings or some action that we had to take that caused the sentimental feelings. Near future. Finances. I think abundance. This Virgo full moon very clearly bringing in abundance. Masculine's higher self. Support. I think he's getting support, but also I've been in the other readings, there was a very strong sense of, wanting to be like a provider, a protector, a supporter of the feminine. Blocks to individual or shared progress. Changing your mind. So just because you chose one way out before, again, now there's a time with that energy of temperance to maybe try different mechanisms on, getting out of situations or creating new situations for ourselves that we want. What the feminine can do to help herself. Gracefully aging. This is spiritual maturity. This is emotional maturity. This is working, again, you're working your way through situations after you have a realization, after you have an epiphany, healing through those things, being more, again, mature now with the gracefully aging. So now we know that we can change our mind and, we're in charge of our actions and we're in charge of our reactions and what that means. The masculine, what he can do for himself, it is self-employment. That definitely literal for some, sitting here next to finances. So especially since I was made to talk about jobs and, maybe losing their job or something like that. Maybe that's happening to somebody because you're meant to start your own gig, right? For others, the self-employment is more metaphoric. It's about, again, depending on self-love, and being able to depend on yourself and feeling confident in yourself. What the universe would have each or both of us to, work on during this period, and it even wants to help us with, is new career. So again, for some, this is literal. This is very much about finances. The energy of Virgo is very much about home and family and household and foundations. So that's going to be a big, big part of what we experience over the next couple weeks. And definitely literal for some. New career, new job, new path. Like I'm from accounting, right? And now I'm doing tarot. Like, what the hell? That's a completely new career. It can be something like that. Because again, a lot of spiritual energy right now for people. And for others, this too is metaphoric. It's just like a new way of doing something. And the outcome. New exercise program, new way of doing something. So a lot of change coming to us over this next 2 weeks. And, I did the first spread so that you can see how for your sign that change may specifically apply to you and in what areas of your life. This leaving could be, again, leaving your old job, leaving your old career, leaving an old path, having changed your mind. I'm doing this now. For some advice from all of these decks, we'll first shuffle these. I do have a few minutes. I just looked up at the timer or the clock. All right, these are super mixed up, right? The Six of Water, Six of Cups, definitely a soulmate card. People returning to your life, things that you wanted to do from the past, you're making them happen now. So those jobs and careers that you've always wanted to do, you can enact them now. Memories from your history or childhood, issues regarding children and romanticizing the past. Also, this can be about the pregnancy, dealing with things involving our siblings and family members as well. And the overall energy is the Princess of Winter. Logical, truthful, curious, and undiplomatic. A Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. This could be Mercury himself, Venus herself. This is an intellectual challenge that calls upon your ability to think of a matching solution If helpful information is put to you bluntly, accept the message without being bothered by the messenger. So many of us are likely getting some sort of information, maybe that clarity with the epiphanies and stuff, and then needing to decide, like, where do we go from there? What are we going to do with this information? Pages bring news. The Page of Swords brings information that we usually have to make some sort of choice about. So from the surrender deck to the masculine, surrender to your full power. Yes, remember I talked about how strength showed up to show him that he was going to be empowered and that he should be confident. I love when the confirmation comes through again with the card. So this card is very strength, right? With this huge lion here and this like Artemis type female or feminine energy standing there. Your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. Said you can't like play it safe, you can't play it normal, you gotta do it big right now. I love that came out. For the feminine, surrender to success. You're ready to experience abundance. Don't look back at previous roadblocks. Like, don't keep looking at the heartache or, even if you're dealing with the same person and it has to do with relationships, if your gut, your soul, your emotions, the butterflies in your stomach are telling you the relationship's going to be different this time, believe that it's going to be different this time and give yourself and it and the person a second chance and surrender to things working out well this time. If it's a job or some other situation, same thing. Picture yourself doing well. You're ready to experience this abundance, all right? From the butterfly deck to the masculine. Hobbies. That's maybe your ticket to the self-employment, something that you enjoy doing. There's an opportunity for you to, that creativity, to you to change that into abundance. Maybe even to an actual job. Feminine, get some rest. I said that the temperance card could apply to actual needing some rest, recovery, restoration. So for some of us, this is how it's applying. And after the Three of Swords, which we may have experienced, comes the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is also a card of restoration and recovery and the need to rest and sometimes just to sleep. So take that if you're feeling that you need to. For the masculine, it is the Virgo energy showing up here. The Knight of Earth, Knight of Pentacles. Loyal, dedicated, honorable, and kind. It's time to buckle down and get things done. Honor your commitments. Finish what you started. You have a guardian angel, so you're not alone. You got support. Remember the support from the butterfly spread that you were going to have. The Knight of Earth is a Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And I think this was your advice card in the general reading this week too. Feminine, the Ace of Air, Ace of Swords. You know when the Ace of Swords shows up? On the heels of like difficulty, disappointment, pain. We're moving out of that energy, like to Ten of Swords, and moving into this brand new start. So that's where we are. Brilliant new ideas and inspirations. Seeing the truth of a situation, maybe because we got some sort of information. And a challenging beginning. It's a beginning nonetheless. We're starting again fresh. There could be some more bumps in the road. Maybe everything's not going to overnight be perfect, like I was saying with the world, but we're getting a fresh start. And lastly, from the animal tarot to the masculine, the Three of Spring, Three of Wands. Stop to take time to review and to make long-term plans, capitalizing upon your past successes. It's appropriate to pat yourself on the back for all of your accomplishments, but you may also need some patience for the next phase to play out. So this is like the world. Remember I said the world is a number 3 and it's of the fire element for me. It feels like fire. It can require some patience. So this is like the minor arcana version in my mind. And things, it's another confirmation that things are about to get a lot better for you. Maybe most specifically, you water signs. Look at it's a aquatic image on the card. And this card, well, the major arcana version, the world, showed up for the water signs in the last spread. Well, the spread before last. And lastly, we are ending for the feminine on the 10 of Summer. It's time to express your love and appreciation for family, be it relatives or a chosen family of close friends. Congratulations may be in order. on a happy, fulfilling marriage, as well as raising happy and balanced children. This is just feeling emotionally fulfilled, often surrounded by love, surrounded by people you love, maybe participating in some sort of event or party, attending a wedding or something like that. If you're single and you get invited to something like that, definitely attend. It's a great time to meet somebody new. And some of us may be celebrating some of the events that are going on this week, like Holi for the Hindu and Indian populations, or the Asian population, and again, Purim for the Hebrew or Jewish population. If you're celebrating something else, congratulations to you too. I hope you guys have enjoyed the love reading. If you like your own private reading of any type, information for that, as well as for energy healing, merchandise, or to be my friend on social media, all of that will be in the box below. If you like the video, please actually like the video by hitting the like button, the thumbs up button. And if you're not yet a subscriber, please consider becoming one by hitting both the subscribe button and the bell button. So hopefully you'll get your notifications. And if you don't mind sharing, please do that too. Namaste.